Sarah Kustok, and we're going viral. Steve Kerr will have the tough task of figuring out how to stop Kawhi Leonard, and he's reaching out to just about everyone for help. Check out this picture someone snapped of Kerr having dinner with Greg Popovich.
Oh, my God.
Ooh. Basketball Forever captioned it, "Tell me everything about Kawhi."
All right, I love the fact that if you look, it looks like Pop's wearing just some logoed T-shirt at probably what ended up being about a $12,000 dinner, knowing how Pop does things. I bet that was a 4-hour dinner with over/under at 6.5 bottles of wine, Pop, Kerr, and whoever else was there.
I thought you were going to give the tab.
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
Given the wine,
we're into 5 figures, I would imagine. There's a great story about Pop and the Spurs family and the wine, but I don't know what I don't know what Kerr can glean from Pop that we haven't been watching on full display in these NBA playoffs. I imagine Kerr's been watching the games. What up, C?
I screwed up.
Oh, that's what Pop's going to tell him?
That may be true.
I should have hired that other doctor, the one for the second opinion.
Right.
Dang.
Everything's coming to light. Everything's coming to light.
Sarah, we're talking the NBA Finals here. Warriors will travel north of the border to take on the Raptors on Thursday. Kevin Durant's status has been up in the air as he nurses that calf injury. But with the Warriors cruising to 5 straight wins without KD, some wondering if Golden State even needs the services of the back-to-back Finals MVP. Here's Durant and all the noise surrounding his status.
It's hard to get away from that, because I watch the games and you watch the lead up into the games, and that's all everybody talking about. And my perspective is just like, I want to focus on rehab, but I also want to be a fan of my teammates. You know what I'm saying? I want to enjoy my teammates from a different view, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of those guys sit and cheer and cheer for the rest of the guys, the starting guys, and then I get an opportunity to do the same thing. And I turn on TV, since I can't travel with the team, all you hear is the noise, you know what I'm saying? So as a player, I think about that and I'm just like, that's just not true. That's not facts when it comes to that from a basketball perspective. And, but the competitive side of me, I also like to talk basketball as well. So if you're going to say something like that, I'm going to engage in it. So it's all fun. It's all cool, but I know the real. It's been that way since I got here. It's the Warriors and KD, you know what I'm saying? And I understand that. And I felt like my teammates and the organization know exactly what I've done here on and off the court to become a part of this culture to kind of stand my flag in this, in this coach and this organization. I've done in, the last 2 years, pretty much everything that they asked me to do, from player, from an ambassador, I guess, of the organization and the community, from, working hard every single day in shoot-arounds and practice. So I know what I bring to the team, but I also know that a lot of people on the outside, don't like to see us together. And, I get it.
So, Sarah, here's the real. KD, he's telling exactly what's on his mind. That is exactly. I had no issue with what he said. I loved it. I loved what he had to say. That was the real right there. So
well done.
Thank you very much. What do you think, Sarah? How badly do the Warriors need KD? And not just need KD, but need KD against this specific team, against the Raptors.
I'll say this. I think regardless of all the noise, the discussion, how the Warriors have been playing without Kevin Durant, they are a much better team when Kevin Durant is in the lineup and when he could play. However, I don't think that they need Kevin in order to give themselves an opportunity to win the finals. And I think there's a balance between that, and there's levels of when you say how badly do they need Kevin Durant. I think this team believes that they could still win the finals even if Kevin Durant is not healthy enough to return. Would they love to have him back? Absolutely. But the way in which they function offensively, how they play, the roles that everyone is put into, not just Steph and Clay, but specifically Draymond Green, and how he's able to be utilized as a quarterback, as a facilitator, the more touches everyone gets because it's not going to Kevin Durant. We've seen it, the last 32 games, they're 31-1 when Steph plays and Kevin Durant does not play. So I think regardless, this is going to be a challenging finals. I'm excited to see it because I think Toronto is playing well. They've got a ton of momentum. They've got confidence in how they've been playing. They have a closer and a elite player in Kawhi Leonard, though I think the Warriors, to me, are still the favorite heading into this, even without Kevin Durant.
And that's not just because they are overwhelmingly talented. It is because I would not feel this way if it was Steph out and KD in. This team has to have Steph Curry, because without Steph Curry, Draymond's effectiveness, it's not that it drops, it becomes almost non-existent on the offensive end. He'll always be important on the defensive end, but Draymond's offense, it needs to have Steph and the gravity Steph has to pull people away from the basket, and Draymond is that secondary playmaker. Klay Thompson, his value is still there, but it's muted to a degree because he is such a limited ball handler that he has to have Steph out there doing that for him, because Klay, with respect, can't dribble with his head up, much less be a playmaker off the dribble. So it is not an indictment on Durant's skill as a player. It is an indictment on Durant's necessity to the team that he's on, because they have are they better with him or without him? Even though the numbers actually say they're better without him, logic in the eye test says, no, they're scarier and they're better and they have more ways to beat you with him. But do they need him? No. They didn't need him before he got there. They don't need him now. And that is what is so frustrating for KD, because I understand it. He's like, man, I'm watching the games. It's not like he didn't say I'm surfing all the channels, watching all the shows like this. He said I'm watching the games. And what's the discussion right before the game? Do they need me? What are they going to do if I'm not here? And I get why that would be frustrating. But it's also frustrating because, to use what he's saying, that is facts. It is facts that they don't need you, and that is what is tough when he sees, like, Durant wanted them to beat the Blazers, but he wanted it to go 6. He wanted them to at least have some type of struggle there, I would imagine. I can't speak for him, but that's how I would be if I were him. I'd want to for it to be obvious I add value, and that didn't show up in that series.
This is the real Jenna. Kevin Durant, he was getting 35 in the first round against the Clippers. Steph's in the lineup. So KD don't matter what. He don't care who's on the court. So this seems to be the problem. Steph feels like he got more freedom if KD's not on the court. Because when we seen KD not be there, Steph's averaging 36. KD was averaging 35. We act like Steph's averaging 45 now, and KD was only averaging 25. Like, KD was getting his no matter what. Now, Steph, there are more shots. Do they play with a different style? Absolutely. But for 101 minutes compared to 83 minutes, the Portland Trailblazers had the lead. Portland is not one of the elite teams in the NBA. So for me, even though they did win the series 4-0, man, there was some struggle with the Warriors, even with Portland. Portland was one of the worst defending teams, especially the worst one of the Final Four. Yeah. They've never been a good defensive team. So there was some struggle there with the Warriors. So I know the word need is a strong word. They are a better team regardless of what the numbers say with Kevin Durant. Give me 80 games of playoff basketball, the clutching and grabbing. And you give me 80 games without KD in the playoffs, because the one thing KD has on his resume, these Warriors, they can have all those regular seasons, but they had a 3-1 lead. They lost that lead and lost a championship. KD wasn't on that team. What they've done since then is do nothing but winning. They got KD for LeBron James. Now, will they need him against Kawhi? I do believe that they will need him.
But let's just look at the last series, the last couple games. They didn't dominate the Blazers. They were down by double digits in almost every single game.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
17-point deficits in each of the last 3 games.
And that's something.
I agree. I also think this Warriors team, though, when that's the nuances of their offense, when Kevin Durant is not in, how defenses need to play helps how they're able to defend the other guys. So there are so many instances that the Warriors have utilized how they've played when they haven't had KD, where so many of those other, think about the players like Kevin Looney that we talked about, McKinney, all of those players, they were able to be more productive because of how the defenses have to guard the other players, where they put them in help side. You think you can lay off a guy and then all of a sudden where they're placing them on the floor makes a major impact.
And the point that C made about those complementary players that I hadn't heard anyone make, but I think it's a brilliant one, is they're better defensively when they are getting involved offensively, and they're more likely to get involved offensively when it's that motion, everyone touches the ball, strength and number style of offense. And you're right, C.
Yeah, imagine if we had you on this show, we didn't let you talk.
35 points per game for Kevin Durant.
I just imagined it. Okay.
35 points per game for KD before he got hurt, 36 for Steph since then. That's one number. The other number is this. The Warriors were 6-4 in those 10 games before KD got hurt. They're 5-0. in the 5 games since then, with the one game being, we're not including the game he got hurt in, they're tied when he goes down.
And they were a great matchup for those teams. There's the Rockets team, they were a great matchup without KD for a game and a quarter.
Sure.
And the Portland?
Well, fair enough, but the most what we know is that they have found a way to win without losing. They're trailing, fine, without losing. I don't think they could do that without Steph. I think the numbers show without Steph, they are beatable. Without Kevin Durant or with Kevin Durant, nobody's been able to beat them over these last 3 years. We'll see if what Toronto can do.
All right, it's Real Talk. Sarah, we'll see you a little bit later on. Coming up, which one of CC's former quarterbacks is Dak Prescott getting compared to? That's next on First Things First.
The real.
Kevin Durant said that's the real, and Jenna